Anyway, now I want you to go into a probate property, and there's one tiny little difference. Everything in there is for sale, and there's nobody behind you to boost up the price. That's why you're buying personal property for 5-7 cents on the dollar. Often you get it for free, because like me in my early days want to get rid of it so they can sell the house. Don't disregard the personal property. In probate, if you're doing it correctly, there is no overbidding, because you're there all by yourself. Yes, you're going to get, I'll get you there before, I flipped it to you. I'll get you there before the antique dealers, car dealers, jewelry, stamps, boats, planes, trains, stockbrokers, and everybody else. But for you real estate investors, I'll get you there before real estate brokers and real estate investors even know it's for sale. That's how you buy 40, 50, 60% below fair market value consistently. Early bird gets the worm. Have two properties here, property A and property B. Which one's the easiest to find the address of?
A.
Okay, which one do you want to buy? B. B. Microphone's not working. Which one do you want to buy?
B.
B. You servers. Because the address is unknown. Competition is your enemy. Exposure is the enemy of that. You want to buy something nobody else knows is for sale. The only legal way to buy real estate where the address isn't in print is probate. The other one, you put a contract down and you make them an offer they can't refuse. That's illegal. It's Godfather. I've got to say this. I only speak 8 times a year. I've never, in the 35 years, I've never spoken in Santa Barbara, and this is the last time. It's secret real estate if you do it correctly, and that's the point. Look, if probate was difficult, attorneys couldn't do it. There's nothing complicated about probate. There's nothing complicated about probate. There's nothing complicated about the law. If you do it correctly, the properties are unlisted, unpublished, they're not in print, there's no exposure, hence you have no competition. How is the price going to go up? You're going to compete against yourself? Of course not. When you're part of my team, you will be buying real estate 60, 50, 40, 30% below fair market value consistently, day in and day out. As I said before, the best way to buy real estate, bar none, in a bucket that never empties. More boomers are dying than probates are being settled, so it's actually going up from 7 million. Oh, God. My very first property over in West LA, in fact, I drove by it 2 days ago just to see if it was still standing. Oh, okay, well, let me start here. Bought it for $30,000, turned around and flipped it. I hate that expression. Turned around and sold it for $95,000. Now, oh, you haven't seen it yet. Had a gross profit before taxes of $57,500. Working for NCR at the time, over in Century City. That's over 3 times what I was making with NCR. Now, this is a picture of that first property, and I can tell by the deafening silence you're amazed this property sold for $95,000. 30 years ago! Right. It sold 2 years ago for $700,000. Right. Now, like all of us, I've made thousands and thousands of mistakes over the 35 years. Some of the real obvious ones, obviously it's a real tiny house since the lot's only 50 by 50. So to have painted that house a dark color was really stupid, super stupid. Having the tree certainly didn't help it out much. But there's 3 mistakes I made on this that I'll share with you that you should absolutely never do. One, and I didn't know much. That's when you have all the knowledge because you don't know anything. So it was a small house, so all you had was Formica counter, put a new counter in, got the aluminum sink, drew the line around it, took the jigsaw, cut the line, and put the sink right through to the floor. See, it got a 1/2-inch rim, so it sits on that. So after that, I bought a brand new counter, and this time I drew the line, but moved the new line about a 1/2 inch in. This one proves there is a God to me. No money, how tough can it be? The house was 110, it needed to be 220. So I bought the 220 meter, pulled the wire off the telephone pole, had rubber gloves on because I was going to protect myself in case I got shot or shocked. Had a bunch of labor guys were standing there to catch me in case I got shocked. Put it in, hooked it up, and it worked. First of all, don't do anything without a permit. It's too litigious of an environment anymore. And secondly, there's no reason I didn't die and get shocked on that. That was just pure stupidity. Last but not least, I had taken wood shop in the 8th grade. Hardwood floors are very fashionable, always have been, still are. You know, you're in wood shop, you sand, and it goes to the end of the board. How tough can that be? So you get the floor sander, but you got one tiny little problem. The end of that board is underneath the wall. So when you go into that corner and make that turn, it puts a little divot in the floor. I started staging 30 years ago to hide the divots in the floor from the floor sander because that was something I had no business ever doing. Anyway. Okay. Next property I bought was this one. A little cottage type of house over in Venice, California. 950 square feet. And I can tell again that you're amazed about that. But this is the after picture of that property. I know because I painted it with my own hands. Apparently I should have used a brush.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Whoa!
All right. A lot of properties are little cottage houses, especially in the beach areas. Those that haven't already been bulldozed down and made bigger. Anyway, had a profit a little over $73,000 on it, and this is when I quit my job with NCR. I have never told, in fact I've told people, do not leave your 9 to 5 to get into probate. Do a property, and like everybody else, human nature was, I figured I just got lucky on that first property over in West LA. But after you do the second one, you say, gee, you know, I can do this. And once you say you can do something, self-fulfilling prophecy on the positive side, you can. And that's when I quit my job with National Cash Register Company. I have there may be some people that have more probate experience than I do. Maybe. But you're never going to run into them. I have 35 years of probate experience. I'm the only national speaker on probate. I created the system. We'll get into that a little later. And I'm here to help you. When you have a problem, like Rocco did, you'll pick up the phone and call me, and I'll save you so that you make that $116,000. Now, the LA Times had an article, called me the father of probate, later called me Mr. Probate. None of that makes any bit of difference. But the point is, I have done probate for 35 years. Arguably, I'm as knowledgeable as anybody in America on probate. A real question. I know the price is here, $100,000. You have to go to Indiana to find it. But anyway, bypassing that. You buy a house that's worth $100,000. You pay $85,000 for it. What? And you turn around and sell it. What is your profit?
15.
Come on.
Depends what you
In
sold
real
it
estate,
for.
you only need 8th grade arithmetic. I have my microphone, but I don't have it on. You buy a $100,000 house for $85,000. You turn around and sell it. What is your profit?
$15,000. Well, what do you sell it for? Whatever it's worth. What do you?
You sell it for its fair market value. And I go get somebody.
To pay more.
Your profit is zero. I'm going to cover it. I know it sounds like it's the first time I've given a lecture, but trust me, it's really not. There's 5 elements that take place in every city, county, state, and parish. These 5 elements take place everywhere to flip a property. The sum of these, and I'll go over them twice, runs right at 15%. This is all going to tie into that REO of 100% in a few minutes. I'll go through it once real quick. Closing costs when you buy it, holding costs while you own it, some fix-up cost, even if it's just painting it and sprucing up the front yard, closing costs going out, and sales cost. Second time through. Closing costs going in, escrow fees, loan fees, points, appraisal fees. Holding costs, loan payments, property taxes, hazard insurance. Fix-up. In probate, most people die from old age, so obviously they haven't kept the property spruced up. So we're looking at probably painting the house inside and out and sprucing up the front yard so it has curb appeal. That is not a fixer. For those of you who have delusions, that's a fixer-upper. That is not a fixer. Closing costs going out, escrow fees, transfer fees, and miscellaneous fees. In fact, I want to hit this real quick. Last lecture I forgot to mention. Where are you, little rascal? Oh, there it is. One of the things you're going to do, and some of you I'm sure already have, you work with the same escrow person closing on your properties all the time. Because if you don't, they throw in junk fees that range anywhere from $300 to $750 per deal. And they're strictly junk. They're to make them a profit. And you can stop that. Sales cost, look, I am a broker, but I really believe once you learn how to buy probates correctly, you're going to do something that very few people do. Isn't your time more valuable to go out and find another probate than it is to sell it? Let brokers sell it. They have a monopoly with a multiple listing service. They'll get you the best price. Anyway, it's your business. Run it the way you want. The cost of making widgets is 15%. Retailers found over 200 years ago, if they didn't mark the goods up at least 100%, they couldn't make a profit and keep the doors open. We are business people. If our cost of flipping a property is 15%, and we absolutely want to double our money, the most we'll pay for a property is 70% of fair market value. There's not 7 or 8 of these, there's 7 million of these. Man, you're single, you walk into a meeting place, there's 7 million people of the opposite sex than you. Do you think you might hook with a couple of them? And how many do you need? The most we pay is 70 cents on the dollar. There's no reason not to. It's purely arithmetic. There's no emotion here. There's 75 million homeowners in the United States of America. 24 million of those are free and clear. No loans. As you would suspect, these are the people who tend to die because they're older Americans. It's been my experience here in Southern California for 35 years that when there is no loan on the property, the estate will carry back that loan, will act trust deed, mortgage if you're from anyway, they'll carry back that loan. When they do that for you, there are some advantages you normally don't get. There are no loan fees, there are no appraisal fees, there's no due on sales clauses, there's no acceleration clauses, there's no alienation clauses, and there's no credit check. I'm not a nothing down guy. Because I figure if you're buying a dollar for 50 cents, my God, you can't go out and find a partner to buy a property for 50 cents on the dollar? I don't believe it. And there is no title problem when you buy a probate. When we close, we don't close unless there's free and clear title. That's not true in foreclosure. You can buy one, the next day you go down to the lender or to the title company and say, I'd like to get title on this, and they don't issue it. You bought something you can't sell except to another idiot. Nothing beats probate. Ways of financing. Talked about earlier. Hard money, soft money, all kinds of money. It's great. It's out there. FHA, which hardly applies to California anyway, is 3.5%, and some places you do it, it's 1.5%. You're going to see a woman a few minutes ago. You've seen her once. She's going to talk about this. You don't have to own money to make money in real estate. An assignment. She controlled it. She had virtually no money in the deal and turned around and made $6,000. You don't have to own it to make money in it. Partnership, there's a million different ways of having partnerships. When I started out, I didn't have money. I had the labor, so I was the labor, they were the money. We split 50-50, and there's 1,000 different ways to create that. Same way with a lease option. Again, you don't have to own it, but you have to you can control it, and you can make money off of that. You can have the appraisal in the front, in the middle, at the back end, some of the money going towards, some of that, again, 100 different ways. Okay. Somebody misunderstood this first time I did this. This isn't about me. This is what's available to you. Every one of these deals you can do. Some of you want to make $1 million a deal. You can do that. Not in the next few months, maybe not in the next few years, but you can get into that building / developing. This was my first fall into it, Redondo Beach. This is that property. You walked in, looked straight up, 28 feet to the beam ceiling. The second floor didn't interfere with that view because there was no second floor. There was no ceiling on what might have been the second floor. The heirs were so greedy from Canada, they lived in this motor home and ran an electric cord across the property and paid their electric bill till I closed escrow. Not smart enough to make this up. Pulled the front of the house out 9 feet, put in a second floor. And this is a property when I finish with it. You talk to any investor, I know there are quite a few of you in here, who've done a number of houses, and everybody will say there was one they wish they hadn't sold. This is mine. I wish I'd have kept this property. I wish I'd have kept it in Simmons. But I prostituted myself out for $373,000.
Oh, good.
It allowed me to do other things, and you can't go back. Newport Beach, great area. Nothing wrong with this house, is there? There's nothing wrong with that. It's a nice house. Really nice house. And what's the statement in real estate? Highest and best use. Now, oh, shoot, I keep forgetting to do that. This is my fault. I bought this property for 21% of the lot value. The house was a freebie, although it wasn't much of a house, but anyway, it was a freebie. Bought this for 90% of the lot value, which worked out well because the house was a negative. I had to pay him to come in and bulldoze it down. Obviously went and built it. 4,500 square foot house. It's a nice house. Made what, 287 on it. You can do this. You learn, you slowly. Once you start buying a house for 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar, you're going to have a lot of equity. You'll move to higher, more expensive homes, and eventually, like me, if you really want to go that big, you'll cross the line and start doing building, developing, call it whatever you want. On the channel in Newport Beach, this lot, the guy who owned it loved it. He loved that property. I offered him, just to be mean, I offered him twice what the value of the lot was, and he still wouldn't sell it. Unfortunately, he passed away. And I had nothing to do with that either. I just made that one up. I got to keep that one in collection. His kids did not love the lot as much as he did, so they sold it to me. You can see we framed it. This is the front of the property. As you go out the channel, the 17th house back, it's on the right-hand side, had a boat dock. Yeah, you can see there in the channel as you go. And that blue stuff there is the Pacific Ocean. You have a lot of it here too. And if you go 2,500 miles southeast, you'll be right there in Maui. Orange County Register showed this house in their Sunday section of the real estate. Sold it for $6.1 million. Had a profit of over 1.2. This is doable. You got people, you got houses what? On the beach here sell for $3-4 million easy, right?
Oh,
sure. And every once in a while there's a little one there. And you know whoever buys it's going to tear it down. I don't care how nice it is. They die. We have nothing to do with it, but we're the first one there to solve their problem because we're good guys and gals. You see this property? Certainly. Oof, needs to be fixed up. It's ugly.
Nice roof line.
This is the back of that property. Doesn't look any better from the back than it did the front. But from the backyard, 160 feet above sea level, you have a whitewater view all the way to Dana Point Harbor. To the left, you have a whitewater view all the way down to San Clemente. Paid $2.1 for that. A broker came out and was just driving by, and we were in the front yard deciding how we were going to design the new house. So this was a real estate broker. This wasn't somebody who didn't have a clue what was going on. She knew what she was offering. I'll rephrase it. She offered us $3 million cash, and there was a lot of argument, and I finally got convinced to go with it, and we did. So we had a $900,000 profit, but 45% of it, or $450,000 of it, died in a heartbeat because it was short-term capital gain. That was my complaint. We were planning on building a house that would go out at about $3.8 million, but we didn't, and that was the end of that. Okay. If someone dies without a will, they're said to die testate. I'm sorry, I went backwards. Dyslexia. Any of you have dyslexia? 2 of you? Let me give you some good news. 3 of you. Over half of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 have dyslexia. Because we think different than everybody else. We really do. So,
What about
huh?
hyperactive? What about being hyperactive?
Hyperactive. I thought you were showing me how to break dance. All right. Anyway. I told you I shoot from the hip. I don't know what I'm going to say next. Anyway, when one dies with a will, they're said to die testate. When they die without a will, they're said to die intestate. A few years ago, I'm looking at a property in Venice. The lady next door is watering her yard. We start talking. She has a key to the property, so I walk in because I want to see the conditions inside the property. Real nice lady. Walk in, leave, start to go back to the car. And she says, "Oh, Jim." I said, "Yeah." She says, "By the way, the lady here, she died interstate." Now, I don't think she was referring to 405 San Diego Freeway, but I think I know what she meant to say. What's the best way to avoid probate? Number 1 way.
Have a will.
Have a will.
Trust, actually. Trust.
We'll cover trust.
Living trust?
Don't die!
Yeah.
There's no better way than that. Number 2 is have nothing when you die. That covers your trust and other things. All right. A will does not avoid probate, it initiates probate. A few years back, I'm giving a lecture in Houston. The guy comes up afterwards, nice guy, comes up and he says, "Hey, Jim, you know, you were right." I go, "Okay, well, that's..." In the hour and a half I spoke, which sentence did you feel was right? He said, "No, I didn't mean it that way." He said, "On the 10th of every month, I take all my new acquisitions and put them in my living trust." Well, you can tell I'm kind of a wise... And so I said, "Well, I hope you don't die on the 9th. But my point's valid, because everything that required a signature that he bought after the 11th of one month to the 10th of the next month has to be probated. There's no option. If it requires a signature, you can't dig that person up, shoot them full of adrenaline, and get them to sign off. You need a document from the court, and there's no exception to that. So, a question came up earlier, comment that trust affect the numbers of probates. The answer is no, they don't. No, they don't, because hardly anybody has everything that requires a signature in their trust. Now, and that requires a signature has to be probated. And the person that heads up that probate is going to be the person that heads up that trust. So when I'm talking to that personal representative, I say, "By the way, is there a trust with any assets in it?" And these are nice people. They'll say, "Yes." So yes, I bought a lot of things out of trust, but if it hadn't been for the probate, I would have never known about the property in a trust. So that $7 million is legitimate and growing.
Can you repeat that last part, please?
Sure. Which part?
Just the last couple of sentences.
Okay. any asset that requires a signature that is not in that living trust has to be probated, because the guy's dead and we can't get him to sign off. So, and so that it being probated, I get apprised of it. That's what the system tells you. And the person who heads up that probate is going to be the person that heads up that living trust, or any other kind of trust. So as I'm talking to him about the probate, and maybe there's just a car or a CD or checking, something minor, simple question. By the way, is there a trust with assets in it? He says yes. So yes, I bought the assets out of the trust, but if it hadn't been for the probate, I would have never known there was a trust, much less had access to the assets.
So there aren't other ways to find out what's in a trust other than...
Pardon?
There are no other ways.
Some attorneys have clients record a trust, which, why would you do that? Basically, the answer is no. There's no way to find out. There's no way to find out. And if you create a trust, you do it whatever your attorney tells you. I'm not here to cut their throat on this issue. Have it, in, not in your name, ABC, your dog Fido, whatever you want to call it. Don't use your own name. You're not doing anything illegal to begin with. Yes, we already established it will not. And it does not affect the number of probates. Your Aunt Elma dies. The largest asset she has is the house. Plus, if there's more than a couple of heirs, how are you going to divide the house? With a buzzsaw? Of course not. The only thing they can agree to divide are dollars. And that's what we do. We help settle estates. And you've heard, being a real estate club, you've certainly heard the term motivated seller. Divorce, motivated seller. Foreclosure, motivated seller. You want a motivated seller? Show me somebody who's getting free money they didn't earn. That's a motivated seller. Give me that free money. Because the guy that died is the guy that earned it, not them. It's been my experience. It's been my experience. I'm going to have fun tonight. Okay. This is an empty room, and I'm telling this to you. This is short. It's been my experience over 35 years, about 12 to 15% of the properties in probate at any given moment are fixer type of properties. For those of you who like fixers, good news. For those of you who don't, 85 to 88% are not fixers. Now, for those of you who have never seen a picture of a fixer, I brought one along today so we can all see what a fixer looks like.